Welcome to Stories. I was forced to go to Camp Ironwood and became a girl. Max stared out the car window, the blur of trees, fields, and distant mountains reflecting the heavy weight in his chest. His parents' voices filled the car, a dull backdrop to his growing sense of dread. The last place he wanted to be was Camp Ironwood, a summer camp that promised to transform him into someone he didn't recognize or want to be. "You'll be stronger, more resilient, Max," his dad said, his voice booming like the motivational speaker he so desperately tried to emulate. "It's time you toughened up. This camp will teach you responsibility, discipline, things every man needs." Max sighed, sinking deeper into his seat. His dad didn't get it. He wasn't weak. He just didn't fit the mold his father wanted him to. Max had heard these speeches before, each time more relentless than the last. His dad believed that Camp Ironwood, with its rigorous physical training, early mornings, and harsh discipline, was the solution to what he saw as Max's shortcomings. Beside him, his mom's soft voice joined in. "It'll be good for you, honey. It's all about learning to stand tall, make new friends, and get some fresh air. Plus, you'll have a great time. I'm sure of it." Max just nodded, though he was far from sure. He'd never liked the idea of being forced into a mold of masculinity that didn't feel right to him. He was quieter, more introspective. He didn't thrive in rough and tumble environments. Camp Ironwood seemed like a prison to him, a place where he'd be judged for simply being himself. Up front, his cousin Maya was sulking, clearly in the same mood. "And I'm stuck at Camp Willow. Again," she groaned, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Max turned to her, eyebrow raised. "What's wrong with Willow? Isn't it just arts and crafts?" "Arts and crafts," Maya scoffed, tossing her hair back with exaggerated flair. "It's hours of glitter explosions, girls gossiping about their crushes, and musical rehearsals where I get stuck being the backup dancer. It's pure torture." Max's lips twitched into a small smile. If he had to be at some camp, maybe Willow wouldn't be so bad after all. An idea popped into his head, wild and risky. "What if we switched?" Maya turned to him, clearly confused. "What do you mean, switched? We both hate our camps, right? I could go to Willow as you, and you could go to Ironwood as me. We're about the same size and height. They wouldn't notice." Maya's eyes widened, and then she laughed, her voice rising. "You're kidding, right? You think we can just pull off some camp switcheroo? How would we even pull that off?" Max was already on a roll. "We've got time to change before we get there. Our moms are dropping us off and leaving. No one will even know." Maya bit her lip, thinking it over. "I don't know, Max. What if we get caught?" Max waved a hand dismissively. "What's the worst that could happen? We get sent back to the camps we hate. It's worth a shot, Maya. I'll owe you big time if we pull this off." After a long pause, Maya let out a reluctant sigh. "Fine, but you better not mess this up." The plan went into motion quickly. At a rest stop about 20 minutes from the camps, they had their chance. Maya handed Max a duffel bag filled with her clothes. He slipped into a loose, floral sundress, feeling the unfamiliar fabric fall against his skin. It was light, breezy, and completely different from the stiff cargo shorts and t-shirts he was used to. He tied his shaggy brown hair into a ponytail, and Maya handed him sunglasses to hide his eyes. "You're lucky I don't wear much makeup," Maya teased, adjusting his hair before stepping back to inspect him. "But you're not half bad." Max looked at himself in the mirror of the gas station restroom, feeling awkward but surprisingly exhilarated. "Gee, thanks," he muttered, fixing the sunglasses over his eyes. Meanwhile, Maya slipped into one of Max's oversized hoodies, pulling the hood up to cover her face, and adopted a slouched posture. "I'll try my best to pass for you," she said, her voice low. When they reached the camps, everything fell into place perfectly. Max kept his head down as they approached Willow, barely registering the energy in the air. The camp was alive with music blaring from loudspeakers, girls painting murals on wooden boards, and a whole crowd of excited campers gathering for their first activity. "Welcome back, Mia," a counselor called out, rushing to hug Max. The warmth of the greeting took him by surprise. "We missed you." Max swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "Ah, yeah, me too." He followed the counselor's lead as she ushered him into the crowd of girls, feeling more out of place than ever. At Camp Ironwood, Maya was quickly swept into the camp's militaristic routine. She tried her best to blend in with the boys, but her uncoordinated attempts at physical training only seemed to make things more difficult. Max's first few days at Willow were overwhelming. The camp was the opposite of Ironwood, focused on creativity, self-expression, and artsy activities. Every girl he met seemed effortlessly confident, at ease in a space designed for free expression. Dance class was his first major hurdle. Max, who had never danced a day in his life, found himself struggling to keep up with the choreography. "You're a little rusty this year, Maya," the dance instructor teased, her voice filled with the familiar lightness of someone used to guiding girls through graceful movements. Max could feel the eyes of the other girls on him, their jiggles piercing through the embarrassment of the moment. Max's face flushed red, his movements clumsy and uncoordinated. "Ah, yeah," he mumbled, fighting the urge to leave the room entirely. Despite his awkwardness, something in the camp began to appeal to him. The quiet moments, away from the loud activities, were where Max found solace. In the painting studio, he spent hours experimenting with colors and shapes, trying to express himself in ways he had never allowed himself before. It was a relief to get lost in the flow of creativity. And in sewing class, where he initially felt out of place, Max surprised himself with a natural talent for making patterns. The rhythmic motion of the needle, the soft fabric in his hands, gave him a sense of peace. But the biggest challenge was yet to come. Max couldn't shake the feeling that someone would eventually see through his disguise. That someone turned out to be Lily. Lily was everything Max was not: confident, observant, and sharp. The two of them were paired up for an art project on the third evening of camp. They spent time working together in the quiet corners of the studio, and Max soon felt the weight of her gaze on him. "You're not Maya, are you?" she asked suddenly, her voice blunt, piercing through the stillness of the studio. Max froze, his brush hovering mid-stroke. What makes you think that?" Lily tilted her head, studying him with her hazel eyes. "You don't walk like her. You don't talk like her. And your braids are terrible." Max let out a long sigh, his shoulders slumping. "Okay, fine. I'm not Mia. My name's Max. Please don't tell anyone." To his surprise, Lily's expression softened. Instead of being angry, she leaned in conspiratorially. "Your secret's safe with me," she said, her voice lowered to a whisper. "Honestly, I think it's kind of cool." Max blinked, unsure of how to respond. "You think it's cool?" "Yeah, it takes guts to do what you're doing. You've been doing a lot better than some of us. I think you actually fit in here more than you think." From that moment on, Lily became Max's closest ally at the camp. She taught him how to style his hair, move with grace, and blend into the world of Willow more naturally. Max began to embrace the challenge with growing confidence. He joined the campfire sing-alongs, even though he was never much of a singer. He danced with the others, his movements growing more fluid. He wasn't just playing a role anymore. He was becoming someone new, someone who could finally express both his masculine and feminine sides without fear. As the weeks flew by, Max's transformation was undeniable. He became an active participant in the camp, his artwork growing more vibrant with each passing day. In sewing class, he designed a dress from scratch, using the patterns he had created. The dress became the highlight of the camp's end-of-summer showcase, and Max received unexpected praise from the instructors and fellow campers alike. But what really changed him wasn't just the new skills he had developed or the accolades he had received. It was the relationships he had built. The girls of Willow accepted him as he was. They welcomed him into their world of self-expression and creativity. He no longer felt the need to hide parts of himself. In the end, Max realized that while he had started his summer pretending to be someone else, he had ended it by becoming the person he was meant to be. Thank you for joining us on another captivating journey through Zoe's stories. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale. Until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep believing in the magic of storytelling. See you in the next chapter.